YouTube, you're watching Baking with Bee, and in this episode we are going to be making caramel apple cookie cups. And now, I am a personal fan of cookie cups. I think they're a fun take on cookies, and they're honestly what made me want to get back into baking a couple of years ago. Amazing, great for the fall, and definitely a great thing to do when you go apple picking and picked a couple too many apples like I did. Alright, let's get started. For this recipe, you are going to need 3/4 of a cup butter, half a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of sugar, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. Alright, let's get started. Now our recipe today is going to have 3 parts, and the first part is going to be to make our little cookie cups. And for that, you're going to need to set your oven to 350 degrees. Our first step in making our cookie cups are to cream together the butter and the sugars until light and fluffy. This should take about 4 to 7 minutes. And when you're all done, light and fluffy will look something like this. And when you're done, feel free to push all the batter down into the middle so we can add our next ingredient. Now you're going to take your egg and your vanilla and add them to your mixture, mixing until well combined. Now we're going to add our 2 cups of flour, our 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, our teaspoon of cinnamon, and our teaspoon of baking soda until combined. And we want to mix them really well because this will be it for the mixing, and after this we're going to put our cookie cups into our muffin tins and put them in the oven. Alright, and when your dough is all done, it'll look something like this, and it is very thick and it's pretty sticky, but it's supposed to be like that. Don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. And once this is all set, we are ready to put our dough into our cups. To make our cookie cups, it's pretty easy. You're just going to take a regular old cupcake pan and make sure you grease it a lot. And I definitely don't say this lightly. You really need to grease these to make sure that they come out because we aren't using muffin cups. So therefore, it's gonna have to come out by hand, and it's just best if you really grease them. To make our cupcake cups, you're gonna take 2 tablespoons of dough, and I have this little 2 tablespoon size measuring cup thing, and I'm gonna use this just to take out about 2 tablespoons of dough, and you're gonna roll it in a ball, and then press it into the bottom and the sides of your muffin tin. And with your fingers, you are going to be making a bowl shape in your muffin tin, and be sure that there is enough dough at the bottom because you do not want any holes because therefore our filling would drip through and we don't want that. Now if you're like me, once you have all of your muffin tins filled with a bowl of dough, you might still have extra in your bowl, and I'm going to save that to press into the middles of my cups just in case once I'm done and see which ones need more dough and which don't. And for now I'm just going to push the dough into our cup shapes. Once you have your cookie cups in your muffin tins, you can pop them in the oven. It'll take about 10 to 12 minutes for these to cook, and when they're done, you're going to take them out and let them set for about 5 minutes in their little muffin tins for cooling, and once they're done, you're going to put them on a wired rack for as long as it takes for them to completely cool. Now when they're sitting on the wired rack, if you see that some of them aren't quite cup-shaped enough to really hold anything, feel free to take a tablespoon or the bottom of a wooden spoon or spatula and make them a little more rounded and a little more cup-shaped. Make sure to do that once they're on the wire rack and a little cool, so that way you don't burn your hands and you don't mess up anything that you've already done. Once your cookie cups are nice and cool, you're ready to make the handmade caramel sauce. Now you can of course get this at a store anywhere and use that, or you can do what I'm doing and making it myself. The recipe for the caramel sauce is super duper easy, and I definitely suggest trying it because honestly everything tastes better homemade. For your caramel sauce, you are going to need half a cup of butter, 1 cup of brown sugar, and 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream. Let's get started. To make the caramel sauce, you're going to start by melting your butter in a saucepan. Once your butter is totally melted, you're going to add in your heavy cream and your sugar. And you're going to want to do this on medium heat. Once your butter and sugar are added, you're going to want to whisk constantly until the sugar is completely dissolved. You'll know the sugar is completely dissolved when all of your mixture is one solid brown color like that. And now you're going to bring your mixture to a boil and let that go for exactly 3 minutes. Be sure you set a timer for this. When you're done, remove from heat and remove from your burner and set it aside to cool for 2 to 3 minutes. After 2 to 3 minutes of letting your caramel sauce cool, you are ready to pour them in your cupcakes. Now I'm going to be using a glass measuring cup to pour just because I think it'll be the easiest way and the safest way to get the caramel in the cups without hurting myself or making a huge mess. We're only going to put enough caramel in to fill the bottoms because we're still going to be putting apples on top. So be sure not to fill all the way and don't even fill most of the way. If you have extra caramel sauce at the end, feel free to put it in the fridge and you can keep it to put on ice cream, on more cookies, or anything else you want to put it on. It'll be lasting for a while as long as you have it in a sealed container. Once your cookie cups are filled with their caramel and it's hardened, you're now ready to make the cinnamon apple topping. For our cinnamon apple topping, you are going to need 2 apples chopped up, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a pinch of nutmeg, 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, and 2 tablespoons of butter. Alright, let's get started making our topping. To make our topping, you're going to add the 2 cups of chopped apples, the teaspoon of cinnamon, the 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, and the pinch of nutmeg. And you're just going to mix this all together with a spatula, or you can toss it, whatever you feel comfortable with. Now you're going to add your 2 tablespoons of butter, and you're going to cook your apple mixture for 10 to 15 minutes or until it cooks to the softness you find most appealing. Your finished apple mixture will look something like this, and I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but it is making some sizzling noises and it smells so amazing. At least to me, I'm obsessed with all things cinnamon. Alright, once you have your apple mixture a little bit cooled, you're ready for your final step, and that is to add the apple topping to your cups. It's really easy to do. You just, spoon it in. And I'm going to make mine slightly overflowing, but you can add as much apple or as little apple as you decide. Alright, and when you add your apples to your cups, you're all done. And I have to say, these look absolutely delicious. If you can see this, it is like a mini apple pie, but it's with a cookie, and there's caramel inside there, and once you add the warm apples, it kind of melts the caramel a little bit, and they smell so good, and I really wish I could eat these. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe, and feel free to make these and send me pictures. I would love to see them. My Twitter is @BBLynch, and maybe you'll be in the next episode if you do. Be sure to try to use fresh apples for this. This is really the most amazing time of year to get apples. You can either go out and pick them yourself at a local orchard, or even just go to your local food store and they probably have fresh apples there too. I personally was able to go apple picking and then I bought mine from there, and let me just say that the freshness is so obvious, and I love these so much. They're also perfect for Thanksgiving or any other holiday you have coming up, so definitely try them. They are really good, and they're pretty easy. I didn't have any trouble at all. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have any special requests for recipes, let me know below. I'll see you next week. Bye!